Good morning, gardening friends. Welcome back to my garden. This is Vicky, and I have just changed my garden channel name to Garden Evolution. So I thought I'd do a quick little tour this morning and kind of explain why I did that, and also, of course, catch you up on the garden progress. Recently, I painted my daughter's headboard. She doesn't want it anymore, and put it here in front of my shed to be like a trellis for this Zephyr and rose. I think it looks really pretty. The rose, on the other hand, is getting defoliated by some sort of bug. I'm trying not to do any chemicals whatsoever in my garden, so I've been hoping that by planting a variety of plants, I'll draw the kind of insects that will eat whatever is doing that. So I'm not doing anything about that right now. I'm just gonna continue on with that plan. Over here we have some, I think it's called anemone canadensis, maybe. That might not be right, but it's about to bloom. This is a native in my area. It's gonna have white flowers, so I'm looking forward to that. This little plant down here, and I have a few more seedlings. This is a pink milkweed, like either the swamp milkweed or the other one, I can't remember. This is a hydrangea called vanilla strawberry or strawberry vanilla. Oh, so I was going to tell you guys about my garden channel name change. So not too long ago, I think it was about 6 months ago, the USDA came out with a new updated zone map, and I was previously classified as zone 5B, and my channel was called 5B Gardener, only it was spelled like BEE, like, you know, bumblebees. However, on this newly released map, I am now considered a zone 6A, and I decided to change the name of the channel for that reason. I didn't want to be misleading, but also I just was thinking about it, and I wanted to kind of do a relaunch of how I'm doing my gardening videos as time went on. I don't know, I just started thinking about, like, this is really a documentary of my garden. I don't know how many people are going to actually watch it, but I go back and watch it. So like when I'm trying to decide what to do next or what area needs more color at what time of year and stuff like that, I'm referring back to my own videos, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, okay, this area looks really good, but it could use some color, or, you know, whatever. So I started thinking about how it's kind of, you know, it's documenting my garden channel or my garden progressing, but it's also, you know, it's showing its evolution over time. So I came up with the name Garden Evolution, and yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. All right, so right now we are looking at some hydrangeas that are getting their little blooms ready to start going. That's a smooth type hydrangea. This one down here is a panicle, so that one will come later. Here's another smooth type hydrangea. I'm starting to add some hostas to the bottom of these just because it is a shady area, and I wanted to add that difference in leaf texture and color next to the hydrangeas. Also, I'm like alternating so that different ones are in bloom at different times. I didn't want to have a hedge of all of the same hydrangeas. I wanted it to be, you know, changing as the season changes, and I just thought that was really, I've seen that done on another channel. I think it's called North Lawn Garden or North Lawn Farm or something like really, really good gardener. Oh my gosh, if you aren't following her yet, you totally should. Her name's Danielle, and she lives in Pennsylvania, has an amazing garden. She grows cut flowers, and she mixes them into her landscape, and her yard is just beautiful. So anyway, that's where I'm kind of stealing that idea from, is she has a bunch of just different types of hydrangeas all jumbled together, and then when they start coming in bloom, it's just not all at the same time, but it's just magnificent for months, and so that's what I'm trying to achieve over here. So that's another panicle type. This right here is a butterfly magnolia tree. I like that it gets these really big leaves. And in very early spring, so it's already passed by, it gets these yellow magnolia type flowers. Again, that's butterfly magnolia. Behind, slightly raised up here. So what you guys can't see right now is behind this wood chip, there's actually a short stone wall. And when I laid this wood chip last fall, I decided just to have the wood chips drape down over the stone wall, and just because really for my own ease of getting it laid down quickly, and also because these hydrangeas were transplanted last kind of late summerish, and I know hydrangeas are typically very, very hardy, especially the type that I'm growing here on this row. None of these are the macrophylla type. So all of these hydrangeas are good down to like zone 3 or 4. But anyway, I just decided to go ahead and have the wood mulch going over that entire wall and coming down on hydrangeas. And that's why it looks this way. But eventually you're going to start seeing that stone wall again, and it'll just be whatever's visible behind the hydrangeas as they fill out. So anyhow, I was starting to say behind this I have some daylilies, and that's on this second level, just kind of behind the hydrangeas. You know, I'm trying to add that extra layer of interest by putting in other flowers and such. So again, we've got, here's a hosta. This one is Summon Substance Hosta. Another smooth leaf arborescens, another smooth leaf arborescens. Some more hosta. This one down here is a panicle type hydrangea. It's just a little one. Another hosta, another Summon Substance hosta, another smooth leaf hydrangea, another hosta and panicle hydrangea down there, another hosta, and this one is a smooth leaf. I think based on the color that I'm starting to see, I think this one is ruby, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll be able to confirm that shortly. This one, if I'm remembering correctly, is a lace cap style. So, oh, yep, I'm right. See, look how it's getting these little teeny, I forget what they call them, inflorescence or something. These little side ones. And then this is going to be the flat lace cap when it opens up fully. So that's what's starting to happen there. Those are really beautiful. I actually want to put at least one on this second level, if not 2 of these lace cap on my back layer. Another hosta, and then some sort of hydrangea. I think this one is a smooth. It's pretty behind the other, so I don't even see buds on it yet. And then this one right here is a panicle bobo style, and one more hosta. Going back over here again, I didn't really cover. These are a daylily, and I believe they're like a peach color. So I have a bunch of new hydrangeas back here. The second row is like newly planted this spring, except for this was a transplant. So again, that was the strawberry vanilla. Right here, this is a, what is it called? Rose of Sharon columnar style, and it has white flowers. I have a second one down there on that end. Last year I had 4 of them, but I gave 2 of them to a coworker of mine. And yeah, I felt like 4 was too much, because they are in flower for like, once they start blooming, they bloom for the rest of the year. And that's fantastic. It's just that I want more variety in this garden. I don't want it to all be like a wall of white flowers for the entire season. So she wanted 2 of them for her yard. When she had gone to Home Depot, they were gone. So I was like, hey, I'll just give you 2 out of mine. That works for me. Then I can just add something different. So that's exactly what happened. I just planted this a few weeks ago, Invincible Limetta. So that's a smooth type arborescens hydrangea, which is a native in my area. All of the ones that I said down here that are smooth type, those are all native. So I do tend to favor those because I'm trying to add a lot of native plants, and I just like that that's our native hydrangea, although there are different cultivars. This is a native shrub. I think it's called buffalo berry. And then we have the 9-bark, which mine is growing so slow. This is like its second or third year. And here's my hand for reference. It is so small. And it did pretty much die back to the ground. But these are native, so I'm hoping this year it's gonna put on some bigger growth and just start doing better. And then I don't know, maybe I need to look into if I should protect that over winter. Not sure. I'm not going to keep mentioning these, but these are arborvitaes, and these are also native in our area. Right here we have a limelight prime. So this one is a panicle. It is not native, but again, I'm trying to alternate because the smooth leaf ones come in bloom earlier than the panicle ones. And my understanding is that the oak leaf, which I have an oak leaf down there that we're going to see, the oak leaf come in bloom, I believe, even sooner than the smooth leaf. So I'm planning to add 1 or 2 more oak leaves, as those are native, and I want that earlier bloom. And then, yeah, so I've got a couple extra spots in this row. That's probably what I'm going to do, is add a couple more oak leaf. Or maybe put an oak leaf on my bottom row somewhere, and, you know, I'm not really sure. Point is, I've got room for about 3 or 4 more hydrangeas up here at least, and I'm trying to cover all my bases of bloom time and getting those native varieties in and all that. So this one is another strawberry vanilla. These have like these reddish stems, which is kind of cool. And they get really big panicles that are like, they kind of fade from like white to pink over time. This shrub back here is called a Pyrrhus japonica. That is not a native, but it is a really beautiful shrub that has a really cool long seasons of interest. So obviously it has this awesome variegated foliage, which I have to admit I'm not always a fan of, but in this shrub I really like it. In very, very early spring, it gets these pretty little teeny bell-shaped flowers that look like lily of the valley flowers. They're white, kind of a whitish pink. And then after that, it puts on this pinkish, corally orange, coral type new growth. So when its leaves first come out, when it's pushing on that new growth right after it flowers, it's this amazing color. Oh my God, it's so cool. And then, you know, once it's done doing that, it just looks like this. But then in the fall, it gets like this bronzing, you know, changing of leaf color again. So I just think it's a super cool shrub. I bought 2 of those. That's actually what I replaced the, when I told you I gave my coworker the Rose of Sharon plants, the 2 of them. This is what I replaced those shrubs with. So I have that one, and then I have another one right over there. In this area that looks kind of empty, I have 2 large shrubs that I'm thinking about replacing. I bought both of these last year on clearance. You can hardly see them. They are, I gotta cut back some dead, obviously. But these are serviceberry shrubs, and they're the columnar style. So they'll get not as big supposedly as the trees, but they've barely grown at all. I'm not happy with their growth whatsoever, and I kind of, looking at the pictures of the trees, I think I like those better anyway. So I'm kind of debating about pulling these out and finding the serviceberry trees that stay somewhat smallish. I think they would still fit in this location, at least one of them. And I might pull these out because, again, this is year 2, and that's how big they are. And I know they were bought on clearance last year. I'm sure they'll give me some good growth this year, and then even better next year if I kept them in, but I don't know if I'm that patient. I skipped a couple hydrangeas here. So this one is a Pinky Winky, and it's a panicle. It has more of an open style flowering habit than some other panicles, so I like that. And then this right here is a PG panicle. I basically bought that just because it was so inexpensive. I want to say it was like $4 when I found that. And I didn't have a PG, and I just thought, why not? These ferny looking things that you see here are the plant from carrots that I planted in here. So I mentioned this on a previous video, but I had a bunch of carrots in my fridge that started growing roots on them. And I just thought to myself, I wonder if I stuck those out in my garden, if they would grow, because I think carrot flowers are really pretty. And sure enough, they did. So we will see what those turn out like. I've got, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 plants kind of interspersed in this area. This, I wish I could remember what it's called, but it's a native plant that I planted last fall, and I have not seen it bloom yet or anything. So I'm going to have to identify this after it blooms. But basically my idea up here is to have the hedge of plants that kind of grow up and build a little bit of a privacy border between me and my neighbors. And then I'm going to have in front of that a row of hydrangeas and possibly a couple other shrubs that are going to basically be like a second layer. And then I want to have this area in here just be like a meadow. I'm calling it Nancy's Meadow. My mom passed away a couple years ago, and she was a gardener as well, and she really loved looking at flowers. She wasn't so much a gardener of flowers. She mostly grew vegetables, but she really enjoyed like looking at my pictures of my garden and stuff like that. And I like the idea of making something in her honor and tending to it. And I'm going to put like a little bench or something over here facing the garden, so I can just, kind of imagine my mom sitting there looking at it and enjoying what I've made, So I have a sign on order that I'm actually going to put up, and it says Nancy's Meadow. And then, like I said, eventually I'm going to get a bench and put it right over here looking at the garden so she can watch it too. All right, over here is my shade garden. The penstemon are blooming, looking really beautiful. At least one of my plants. I have, oh, that one's blooming too. So this is a big clump right here, pretty much all of what you're seeing there. But right to the side, right there, is a smaller one that I planted last September. And then right here is another one that I also planted last September. Looks like that one might be about to bloom. So let me zoom out again. This bright plant right here is an Aurelia Sun King. I have two different types of iris here. So this strap ear leaf one in the back, I always forget if that's Dutch iris or Siberian iris or whatever, but that is a Caesar's brother iris. It bloomed for me for the first time this spring, but it was only like 2 or 3 blooms. And I think I'm going to have to transplant that to a sunnier area. I don't think it's going to bloom well enough. This iris here, I'm hoping it will send up a stalk or two, but it hasn't done so yet. And I don't know if this is enough sun either. I might need to just go ahead and move both of those types of iris out of here. Other than that, I've got various types of hosta. Here's a couple of hellebores that I got this spring, and they were so beautiful. I'm excited for those to grow, hopefully next year. I know that they grow very slowly, so like if they were to start giving me seedlings, which probably wouldn't even happen until next year, it will take them like years before they even flower. So that's a plant that requires patience, but they are gorgeous. And they're not native, but I don't think you have to be concerned about them being invasive because of how slowly they grow and all that. Dark color right here is a heuchera. I believe it was called Melting Lava or Melting Fire, something like that. But it's pretty. Don't mind the little weeds. I don't remember the names of all my hostas. Sorry. I'm not good enough at doing this to have all the names. But I am trying to get labels put up on a lot of plants, so that way as I'm doing these little garden tours, it's easier for me to tell you guys what I'm seeing. Another type of euchera, I don't remember the name, sorry guys. This one I think is maybe praying hands hosta. I feel like that might be right. I think this is a spirea. I've always called this one of those double play spireas, but it was planted by the neighbors prior to me getting here. Not in this actual spot, I transplanted it there, but that's what's going on there. This is I think you call it balloon flower, campanula or whatever. I just planted this, and so it's pretty tiny. And its little blooms are, yeah, nothing yet to look at. Ajuga, some ground cover that I hope to have spreading throughout this bed. And I think that plant right here is a delphinium, which I'm pretty sure did bloom for me in the past. Oh yeah, it did, look. I can see a little bloom stalk or two. So I guess they're getting enough sun that they will bloom, but probably not nearly as much as if it was in a more sunny location. And then the thing to know about this shade garden is that it does get sun at various times of day. So right now it's about 9-ish, almost just before 9 in the morning, and the sun is over there coming from the east, and it's going to travel this way as it crosses, or more directly above us because it's summertime. But anyway, my point was that at certain parts of the day it will come through and light up this shade bed. Like for example, here in about a hour, it will come through this area and it'll light up the bed from that direction. Just not the whole bed the whole day. So that's kind of what happens over here. It gets little pieces of sun. This big one here is lemony lace elderberry. Just really pretty. What else do I got? This is a different kind of ground cover that I put in here, and Veronica Sunshine. It seems to be doing fine, and I like that pop of chartreuse in here. I do have other chartreuse plants in here though, and I added that ajuga down there just because I think that spreads pretty quickly, and I do want more ground cover in here. I'm not sure about leaving that one. I think that one might be too slow to spread unless I move it to a sunnier spot. Yeah. Oh, let me see if my Samaritan Joe still has some flowers. Kind of coming to the end of its bloom cycle. Oh, but they still look really good. These are like on the back side of this tree facing my neighbor's yard. So I don't really see them very much, but I'm hoping, eventually it'll grow around and come around to my side as well. And this is its year 3. So it's finally starting to kind of take off. I think last year I only had like 2 flowers, and like look at how many I have now, so that's awesome. But I planted it that way so that it gets what they say that it needs, which is protection from the hot sun. It gets morning light, and it can scamper around this tree and get not full sun, but more sun. But yeah, it seems to be very happy there, so that's good. I do have one astilbe over here that I transplanted from my little astilbe section over there that I'll show you, and I like it there. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to leave it or if I'm going to add it back to my other group of astilbe. I had a hole there, and I felt like an astilbe would fit perfectly in this bed as far as its requirements of what it needs to be happy. Over here I have a hydrangea, and to be honest with you, I'm still debating on whether this is I think it's a big leaf. The leaves look pretty big. I was going back and forth between this is a serrata hybrid with a big leaf. I don't even know if that's possible or if it's just a big leaf. But I have to go back and find the name. I want to say it's Let's Dance Can Do or possibly Twist and Shout. But once it starts blooming, that'll be helpful in identifying it. And it's looking beautiful. This died all the way back to the ground this winter. and I wasn't sure if it was going to give me blooms. Well, I figured it would later because I knew it was like one of those reblooming type, but I wasn't sure how soon, and it actually looks like it won't be all that long until it does bloom. So leaning towards some sort of big leaf reblooming. Have to figure out the name later. All right, my friends, well, that's gonna have to wrap it up for this part of my garden tour. This was the east side garden, which includes my hydrangea garden up here, along with Mom's Meadow, and also my shade garden. I've got to run my daughter to the dentist, and then I'm going to come back and film a couple other areas of my garden and get these videos posted. But thanks for watching as always, and this is Vicky signing out on my new Garden Evolution channel.